Going live, and you are looking live at Sold Out Giants Stadium, where today the 15-0 New York Giants are taking on the 0-15 Philadelphia Eagles. Why are the Philadelphia Eagles 0-15? Because they suck. And welcome to the Gridiron, everybody, anybody out there. Spend a little bit of your time, your night, your day, whatever it is with me. I greatly appreciate it. Or anybody's watching like the replay of this, thank you so much from the bottom of my heart, guys. You guys absolutely freaking rock. Going to try to go about 30 minutes here as we usually do. Got a few things going on here. Unfortunately, got to go over the injuries. Now, I'll tell you what. One thing I'm going to go over here, and I am very impressed with, okay, is the injury report. Although I'm not super duper thrilled about Kayvon and Azeez being doubtful for the Giants starter for the season opener, okay, not thrilled to death about that. However, the length of the Giants injury report is very impressive, and this is the first time since 2020. I can't remember exactly what week it was in 2020, but this is the first time, okay, since not last year, but the year before, that the Giants actually had fewer people on their injury report than the other team did. Every week last year, I mean, there was maybe 1 or 2 weeks where it was a little close, but I remember every week last year. Let's see, Giants played 17 games. I'm going to say 13 of the games out of those 17, like by far, the Giants had more, by far. One of the games, I can't remember if it was against the Chargers or, I don't remember exactly. One of the teams they played, I mean, the team they played, I don't think had anybody on their injured list, their injury report. Giants that week had like 10 or 12. It was simply amazing. Every week, Giants would have 9, 10, 11, 12 guys on their injured list. And the other team would have like 3, maybe 4. It was just simply amazing. So we got Kayvon and Azeez. They're both doubtful for the Giants in their season opener. Okay. Let's see. He wasn't, Dable in his press conference wasn't willing to, at that particular point in time, okay, willing to say that, you know, they're not playing, okay. He's going to give them every opportunity to play. However, you know, it's a long season and may possibly just have both of them sit out a week, maybe 2, might be best for them, okay, in the long run. But they were both listed as doubtful on the final injury report of the week as Dable decided to pull off a final decision on the duo's availability Sunday against the Titans. It preserved a little bit of optimism despite all signs pointing to Thibodeau's NFL debut being delayed and Ojulari's frustrating 2 injuries summer continuing. Yeah, it's absolutely amazing. I think he was running a sprint and he injured his calf. I mean, absolutely amazing. Dable said, we'll just try to take it right up to game time as long as we can to see who's going to be on the active and who's not going to be active, Dable said Friday afternoon. So that'll be really the next 48 hours. So we'll let it go as long as we can. Thibodeau's got the MCL sprain because of that low block he received. And Ojulari, his calf were limited. There were limited participants in practice. Okay, they're working hand-to-hand combat with a little lateral movement, but the Giants will be back on the field Saturday for closed doors walkthrough before heading to Nashville. Saturday's also, you know, walkthrough, but then they're going to be, the travel day too as well. So. Dable said, we just need to see them to be able to do the things that they knew to do without pads on, like the movement skills, holding the edge. Holding the edge is huge. You know what I mean? What they do is very, it's tough. I mean, whether you're rushing the pass or especially if you're trying to hold an edge, that's not easy, and you need, especially your lower extremities, what I mean, Azeez with his calf and the MCL sprain, with Kayvon, so important, so important. I mean, it's just not, what they do is just not so much rushing the passer. It's, I don't know how many times. I mean, you see like the Giants giving up the edge. I mean, like last year, the other team runs the ball and the other team, the guy gets the ball and runs outside. And it's kind of like, where's the edge? Who's setting the edge on? I mean, it's just like, it's unbelievable. So it's not an easy thing to do. But I mean, if you can, get guys in, if you can set the edge, especially if you can somehow set the edge on both sides, right? Saying, if you're going to run the ball, you're running the ball inside me. You're not getting around me, and let them run into, obviously the middle of the line where, I've got Leo the line and sexy Dexter there, right? I mean, that's not an easy thing to do all the time. So, I mean, for you to be able to do that, you need your lower extremities to work as best as they can. All right. So, but on the injury report, okay, we got, there was 4 guys. Okay. Tennessee had 5 guys. But the Giants got, let's see, it looks like Shepard. He's not even game status. He's not even listed as anything. So, you got Kayvon and Azeez, game status. They're both doubtful. They've been limited in practice the past 3 days. Dane Belton is questionable. Okay, so that means he obviously has a better chance of participating in the game. He was limited in practice Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. Okay, he's coming back from a broken collarbone. I can't wait to see him on the field, boy. I hope a lot of these guys, Micah McFadden, Dane Belton, a lot of the guys, obviously Wan'Dale Robinson, I'd like to see what he can do in his offense. Daniel Bellinger, but Dane Belton, I'm really excited about seeing him. Hopefully, if we get another young stud safety in there, especially somebody who can walk up inside the box and all, maybe kind of do a little Jabrill Peppers, what Jabrill was pretty good at. I'm very anxious to see Dane Belton on there. Hopefully, so they got to hold him out a game. They got to do what you got to do. But, I'm excited to see what he can do on the field. And they got Sterling Shepard, who's been limited in practice Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, but his game status says nothing. So apparently he's good to go. So the Giants have 3 guys. Okay. Tennessee, they got 5 guys. Okay. So as I said, the first time since 2020, I actually seen the other team with more injured guys on the injury report than the Giants. Defensive back Lonnie Johnson and Elijah Molden for Tennessee. They're both out. Chance Campbell, linebacker, he's out. Jamarco Jones, an offensive lineman, he's out. Okay. And I'm going to butcher this name. Ola Aidenini, outside linebacker. Okay. He's questionable. He's got a problem with his neck. All right. So they got 5 guys. So, but they got 4 of them are just out. Okay. I mean, obviously the Giants got guys out too. I mean, they got guys on the injury reserve, so the Giants got, they only got, they got 4 guys on the list, but it looks like just for the game time, 2 are doubtful and 1 is questionable. So that's a good thing. Good thing. But now the thing is like who the Giants going to, because they got with the, on their defense. Okay. Who are the Giants? All right. You got Kayvon Thibodeau. All right. After him, you got Oshane Ximines, Toman Fox, Jihad Ward. All right. On the practice squad, well, I mean, you could always try Carter Coughlin out there as well, too. But on the practice squad, quite possibly they might wind up bringing a Quincy Roche. Right? Yeah. Okay. So we'll have to keep an eye on that. Quincy Roche might want to play in there because on the depth chart right here, all right, I'm looking at the 2 edge positions. They got 5 guys. They got Azeez and Kayvon, Jihad Ward, Oshane Ximines, and Toman Fox. All right. But on the practice squad, let's see, who do we have here? Chuck Wiley, Quincy Roche, all right. Yeah. So look for him to bring Quincy Roche and quite possibly he might. So you guys might be Jihad Ward, Oshane Ximines, Quincy Roche, and Toman Fox. Those might be your 4 edge rushers. So we'll have to keep an eye on that. But I mean, so the Giants are a little thin now because you got 2 of them. Your 2 starters are out, possibly. All right, so they only might have 4 edge rushers. All right, so we'll have to keep an eye on that. But I said I was very impressed with this, with the injury report. I mean, simply amazed, right? Simply amazed. Now, the Giants last season, okay? I mean, the first week of the season, all right, against, let's see here, what they had? They had 5 guys, okay? But you'll just start noticing as the weeks went by. All right, I know they had 5, but they had more than Denver, right? Giants had Saquon, Evan Ingram, Adoree Jackson, Ted Larson, and John Ross, right? But I mean, week 2, they had 1 injury reserve, bunch of guys on the injury. I mean, the Giants had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Giants had 9 guys in injured reserve week 2. Right? Shane Lemieux was out. He came into the game. He should have probably been listed on the injury report because he's coming off he was injured during the preseason, so he should have been listed on the first week report, but apparently he wasn't. All right. But Evan Ingram was out. Cam Brown was out. Saquon Barkley was out. And week 3, let's see who was. Cam Brown was out again. Evan Ingram was questionable. Kenny Golladay was questionable. And a bunch of guys on injury reserve. Week 4, Caden Smith, Darius Slayton, Sterling Shepard. Who else we had? Nate Ebner, Tay Crowder, Kane Crossan, Ben Bredesen. Then week against Dallas, Ben Bredesen again was listed. Jabrill Peppers was listed. Sterling Shepard was listed. Darius Slayton was listed. Andrew Thomas was questionable. Then the next week, let's see, what do we got here? This is last year against the Rams, all right? Barkley was out. Bredesen was questionable. Who else we got here? Kenny Golladay was out. Justin Hilliard was out. Darius Slayton was questionable. Andrew Thomas was questionable. Kadarius Toney, we're on a roll with him. Yeah, once we start with this week against the Rams, I mean, he was just because the week before he got kicked out of the game against the Cowboys. But I said, we saw a boatload of guys on injured reserve. Following week against Carolina, let's see, Saquon was out. Let's see, Tay Crowder was questionable. Evan Ingram was questionable. Kenny Golladay was out. John Ross, he was injured the whole frickin' season, seemed like. He was questionable. Danny Shelton was doubtful. Sterling Shepard was questionable. Darius Slayton was questionable. Kadarius Toney was out. The next week, Kadarius Toney was questionable. Caden Smith was questionable. Darius Slayton was questionable. Sterling Shepard was questionable. Danny Shelton was doubtful. John Ross was questionable. Kenny Golladay was out. Evan Ingram was questionable. Tay Crowder was questionable. Saquon was out. Then against Kansas City, Saquon was out. Sam Beal was questionable. Lorenzo Carter and Carter Coughlin were both out. Tay Crowder was questionable. Evan Ingram was questionable. Kenny Golladay was out. John Ross was questionable. Let's see. Let's see what we got. Let's see. Danny Shelton was doubtful again. Sterling Shepard was questionable. Darius Slayton was questionable. Caden Smith was questionable. Kadarius Toney was questionable. And somehow, by some miracle, the following week against the Raiders, Kadarius Toney was fine. For 2 games, he was fine. Then he went back on the list again. But let's see, against the we got what do we got? We got Sterling Shepard was out. John Moss was questionable. Dante Pettis was out. Kenny Golladay was out. Questionable, I'm sorry. Nate Ebner was out. He was injured the whole freaking year pretty much. Lorenzo Carter was out. Gary Brightwell was questionable. Saquon Barkley was out. Next week against Tampa Bay, when you're going up against the world champions, let's see, Saquon was questionable. Devontae Booker was questionable. Our top two running backs were questionable. Lorenzo Carter was out. Nate Ebner was out. This is all against Tampa Bay. Colin Gillespie was questionable. Sterling Shepard was out. I mean, let's see here. Caden Smith was questionable. Then the following week against Philadelphia, when we actually won a ball game, Saquon was questionable. Let's see. Nate Ebner was out. Colin Gillespie was out. John Ross was questionable. Kyle Rudolph was doubtful. Sterling Shepard was out. I mean, Sterling Shepard was every week, except for 4. He was on the injury report. Unbelievable. Let's see. And then that week against the Eagles, was surprise. Kadarius Toney was out. Following week, Kadarius Toney was out once again. Hard to believe, I know, against Miami. Colin Gillespie was questionable. Let's see. Adoree Jackson was out. Daniel Jones was out. Here we go. John Ross, questionable. Kyle Rudolph, questionable. Sterling Shepard, doubtful. And as I said, Kadarius Toney was out. Then we got against the Chargers when we got totally annihilated. Let's see here. We had like 35 guys. Oh my God, how many guys we had on injured reserve here? Chargers. We had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19 guys on injured reserve when we played the Chargers. Simply freaking amazing. Chargers. All right, Glennon and Golladay were both questionable. 19 guys on injured reserve. Adoree Jackson was out. Daniel Jones was out. Danny Shelton was questionable. Sterling Shepard was questionable. And Kadarius Toney was out. As I said, Sterling Shepard, every week, there's 4 games where he wasn't on the list. Other than that, he was either out, questionable, or doubtful, or on the injured reserve. Simply amazing. Then against Dallas, once again, we had the 19 guys on injured reserve. Ben Bredesen was doubtful. Austin Johnson was questionable. Daniel Jones was out. Sterling Shepard was questionable. Leonard Williams was questionable. And then the next week, against Philadelphia, Ben Bredesen and Gary Brightwell were both out. Austin Johnson was questionable. J.R. Reed was questionable. Kadarius Toney questionable. And Oshane Ximines was questionable. Now, Oshane Ximines, he was like a healthy scratch, after the Kansas City game. So then we got against Chicago and Washington. Let's see. I'm just going to do them both. Let's see here. We got Colin Gillespie was questionable. Mike Lennon was out. Will Hernandez was questionable. Adoree Jackson was questionable. Austin Johnson was questionable. Colin Johnson was out, and then he was questionable. Billy Price was doubtful. John Ross was out both games. Nate Solder was questionable. Kadarius Toney was out both games. Hard to believe. I don't even know that guy even wants to play football. But so we got the last game of the season against Washington, right? C.J. Board was on injured reserve. Gary Brightwell was on injured reserve. T.J. Brunson was on injured reserve. Carter Coughlin was on injured reserve. So where are we up to there? 1, 2, 3, 4. Nate Ebner was on injured reserve. Nick Gates was on injured reserve. Justin Hilliard, injured reserve. Darnay Holmes, injured reserve. Ryson John, injured reserve. Daniel Jones, injured reserve. Joshua Kalu, injured reserve. Shane Lemieux, injured reserve. Blake Martinez, injured reserve. Matt Parrott, injured reserve. Jabrill Peppers, injured reserved. Dante Pettis, injured reserved. Sterling Shepard, injured reserved. This is the last game of the season. Ellerson Smith, injured reserved. Caden Smith, injured reserved. Levine Toiolo, injured reserve. And Rodarius Williams. And that's 21 guys on the injury reserve. 21 on the injury reserve. Last game is 21 guys. Now, last season when the Giants had guys were questionable, 48 out of the 56 guys played. That's 85%. So that's pretty good. If they're questionable, it seemed like most of them played. If the guy was doubtful, they had 7 guys reported doubtful. None of them played. Guys who were out, 50 guys were out. None of them played, obviously. And the injury reserve, the Giants somehow, guys were reported 256 times, 256 games. Somehow 3 guys played games. I have no idea how that happened if you're on injured reserve. So 1% of the time the guys played, but 256 games total between all the guys were missed. 256. Simply amazing. Hopefully it's nothing like that, okay? Because, I mean, nothing, absolutely nothing is going to derail a season faster than injuries. And the guy last season was an absolute unbelievable joke. The amount of injuries the Giants had. I mean, and it's not making fun of the guys who were injured, but it just seemed like every week guys were injured, going on injury reserve. Simply amazing. All right. Then finally, what we got here, I've seen Saquon Barkley appears open to negotiating new Giants deal during the season, which is cool. Especially after, I mean, they had Lamar Jackson. The big kind of like not big news, I guess, is that they were trying to negotiate, maybe get a long-term deal going with him. And that kind of fell through. So they negotiated. They're going to shut down the negotiations until after the season's over with. But if the Giants want to negotiate with Saquon Barkley during the final year of his contract, the phone line is open. Cool. I like that. Okay. Now, the thing is, I don't know if he's got a number in mind. Okay. Now, another one of the things, too, is, say he balls out. I'm saying, say the Giants, sign him. I'm just saying, just throwing numbers out there. Say the Giants signed him $10 million, 5 years, $50 million. Just throwing a number out there. Say, and then Saquon balls out this year. Is he going to be a little bummed out? I only got 10 million. I got 2,000 yards. I ran for 13, got 700 yards receiving. Only getting 10 million, man. I should have held out for more, So I'm kind of wondering, But apparently he's open. The Giants' most accomplished offensive playmaker sounded receptive to talks between the Giants and his agent. Let's see. Saquon said, "That's a great question," Barkley said. "I really can't answer that until it comes, to be completely honest. Right now, probably the way I would handle it is to focus on what I can focus on and let my agent take care of all of that. I feel like I've got one of the best agents, if not the best agent in the business. So now I know what I've got to do. It's a football field, and if God keeps me healthy, you're going to take care of the rest. So, he's got to stay healthy. That's, and that's another thing. If he's having a decent season or whatever, right, and the Giants strike a deal, and then boom, Saquon gets hurt again. How are the Giants going to feel, right? Now, Barkley, okay, he's playing $7.2 million this season, which is a bargain, okay, for what Saquon can do if healthy. $7.2 million. He's 25 years old, is a bargain without question. He's the 4th highest salary among NFL running backs on the team. The team exercised his fifth-year option, added to his 4-year, $31 million rookie contract. Right, the 2018 Offensive Rookie of the Year and the two-time 1,000-yard rusher was on track for an extension at the top of the positional market when first eligible until his third season, 2020, he was cut short by a torn ACL, and that happened early in the season, right? Now, it wasn't at that time, it wasn't the right time for either side to open up negotiations this offseason, with Barkley coming off a second injury-plagued season and career low numbers while the Giants overhauled their front office and coaching staff. But Barkley looked explosive and sounded like his old confident self in training camp. And the new offense is designated to feature his dual threat capability. Get the frickin' dude the ball, get him out and I mean, obviously, if he's in the backfield, yes. A lot of what they're trying to do is try to open up holes and get him to run in between the tackles. He can't be a pussyfoot and can't be dancing around. You know, what they want to see, you know, if there's a little hole, you can put your head down, pick up 2-3 yards, maybe try to do that. I mean, every now and then, if you can see somewhere, or maybe you can bounce it offside, the edge looks a little soft. You know, maybe you can bounce it out there, but sometimes it just seems like he gets the ball, takes one step. There's not like a truck size hole in front of him. You know, his next step is to let me bounce it outside somebody. You know what I mean? So, I mean, it's going to be, you know, interesting to see what he can do, right? Let's see here. Yeah. They asked questions. Dable said, I like a guy to be himself. Head coach Dable said of Barkley, using doubt as his motivation, right? What motivates one player is different from what motivates another. And I mean, as I'm saying, Barkley, I'm sure, you know, if he winds up listening to the chitter chatter, okay, there's a lot of chitter chatter out there, obviously, you know, about can Saquon do it? Is he going to get injured again? You know, can he stay healthy? You know, what's he going to want? You know, all this stuff and everything. You know, so I'm sure if that motivates him, I'm sure he should have himself a nice season. But, you know, once again, he's got to stay healthy. Now, you know, it'd be nice to maybe negotiate. I have no idea what the Giants are thinking, you know, about with Saquon. I know they don't seem in Buffalo and even quite, you know, if Kansas City, if you want to go Buffalo and Kansas City, they absolutely sure. I mean, they used, you know, they got to run the ball and, you know, throw the ball to the backs. Sure. But it just seems like if they're going to go out and pay somebody some big time bucks in Buffalo or in Kansas City, it seems like they're going to shell it out to, you know, maybe a Travis Kelce, you know, or a wide receiver. Okay. You know, I haven't seen them dish out big bucks to a running back in Buffalo or Kansas City. You know, quite possibly the Giants might want to, you know, use their money elsewhere, you know. So it'd be very, very interesting to see how much Shane and Dable value Saquon and his ability and what's it worth. You know what I mean? I mean, like I said, I mean, they could be miles apart, you know, and I just don't see, you know, I mean, if Saquon wants 12 or 13 or 14, right, I don't see the Giants paying that. I think the Giants kind of have a number in mind if they want Saquon back, and I don't think they're going to budge from it. And I'd be surprised if it gets double digits or a little bit above double. I'd be very, very surprised. I don't see the Giants value in the running back that much. I mean, you know, that's why they got Breida and Williams, right? Two guys that can do a decent job, right? Running the ball, catching passes out of the backfield. Right. And obviously you have to pass protect too, which is one of the weaknesses of Saquon. He's got to do a better job of that. But, you know, as I said, I don't see the Giants going out of their way and spending big bucks on Saquon. You know, but we'll have to wait and see. But, you know, I said, very, very interesting. I mean, I don't know what the Giants have, you know, what Shane's thinking about Barkley and also Daniel Jones too. You know what I mean? But I mean, when they came in, the fifth-year option was already picked up for Barkley. Right. But I'm saying when he's only making $7 million this year, that's an absolute bargain, you know, any way you look at it. But that's about 30 minutes. All right. We went live once again for 30 minutes. Anybody at all spent any time watching this. Thank you so much from the bottom of my heart. Or anybody watches the replay of this, once again, taking time out of your day, night, whenever it is, to watch this video. Thank you so much from the bottom of my heart. You guys absolutely freaking rock. You guys stay safe out there. And once again, go